I'm about to tell you a little story. I'll get to the point in the end, but the basic point will be about Gianluca Scamacca and him not attending the Europa Conference League game where West Ham were playing. Instead, he went to watch Roma played by Leverkusen in the other semi-final, in the Europa League semi-final. I'll get to the point in just a second. You have to excuse me. I'm still a bit hoarse from shouting at the referee, mostly, in the Alkmaar game. Yes, he really was. I thought that bad at dealing with the opposition's time wasting. Oh, it was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Oh, anyway. I've discussed that. Right, here's the story. So this is on another occasion when I was going to a game. Now, for those of you that have been to the Olympic Stadium, London Stadium, when you go past the Aquatic Centre on the left, you know, where Tom Daley did all his diving and all the rest of it, you go over the bridge. The bridge is on the way to the stadium. There's a big screen in front of you and the bridges go over a canal. Just to the right of canal and Hammers Chat boats. So, what happens is, a lot of the time, a couple of years ago, when we would go in there, for every game, there'd always be sort of 200-300 people down the boats. You get used to seeing familiar faces. As I was walking down the boats, I was towards the boats from Stratford Station. I was aware that there was somebody there and a face I recognised. Couldn't quite put a name to the face, but anyway. As I walked over the bridge, I stopped on the bridge just to look at the boats, just catch a glimpse, see if the barbecue was fired up, see who was on the boats and all the rest of it. And I turned around, this guy was still there, and I thought, oh, you know what? I've seen him now. I'm gonna say hello. I recognise him. So I walked up to him. I went, "You right, mate?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "All right, how you doing?" I made some small talk with him. Looking forward to the game today. Yeah, all that sort of stuff. I can't remember at what point I realised who I was talking to wasn't a West Ham fan from down the boats, but it was actually Jordan Hugill. But I basically said to him, "You're Jordan Hugill?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm sorry, mate." I said, "I thought you were." I thought. He said, "No, I know." He said, "I can see what happened." I went, "Oh, right, okay." So anyway, we had a little chat. I said, "What are you doing here?" Now, Jordan Hugill played no games for West Ham at all, and you can already see the point I'm getting to. Wasn't playing for West Ham, wasn't featuring in the team, and in fact, at that point, he'd gone out on loan. I think it was to QPR. So I said, what are you doing here? You're not even here, you're on loan. And he said, well, we didn't have a game today, did we? So I thought I'd come in and, support the team, support the boys, see how the team are getting on. Oh, wow. Great guy. As we were walking down there, far more people recognised him than I did because they stopped for a selfie. Was very accommodating, very lovely with everybody. And I thought, wow, okay, well, what a great guy. On his day off, he's not even, all right, I guess he's still signed to West Ham, but he's not registered with them. He's with another team. He's with QPR. He's clearly no future in at West Ham. Yet he still felt that what he would do on his day off would be, and not take the chauffeur-driven car, by the way, take the tube into Stratford, walk across with all the fans and then just go in and support his mates and then go home and go about his business. It's just commitment to the team, commitment to the club, commitment to your teammates. And I thought of Jordan Hugill when Scamacca was basically pictured by, I think it was Gazzetta dello Sport and a number of the Italian dailies, going to watch Roma against Leverkusen. I think Roma are 1-0 up in the first leg of their semi-final. Because not only is Scamacca Italian, Scamacca was on Roma's youth books. Now, there's a number of reasons why this is important, and not all of it is to do with him, being Italian and whatnot and being over there. I have a certain level of sympathy for Gianluca Scamacca because I don't feel we've ever played to his strengths. He was playing up front for club and country with Raspadori. I don't think we've ever tried to replicate that in many respects. It's like we went and signed Haller. Haller played in a free. We come to West Ham, plays up front on his own. You get Scamacca, plays in a 2, signs for West Ham, goes and plays up front on his own. He's nothing like Antonio. I've said all this stuff before about his style of play. I won't labour the point on that one. So I do have a level and an element of sympathy for him. I don't think he's going to be here next season. I think he's off. I thought that anyway. This is just further confirmation. But I still think it's West Ham's biggest game of the season. That's great. It's great to say that. Really, you'd normally be saying European semi-final. It's West Ham's biggest game for 30 years, whatever. But it's not. Actually, we had a bigger game last year in the semi-finals. But you know what I mean. It's a really important game. He costs £35 million. He's on a bucket load of wages. You can guarantee that. And he can't be so injured that, oh, that's it, what, he couldn't get on a plane. It's not like he was on crutches or anything like that. He's not that badly injured. He's badly injured enough not to be able to play, but what I'm saying is he's not having to be carried on a stretcher everywhere, right? He's walking around under his own steam. He's fine. Not fit enough to play, fit enough to walk, fit enough to get around. Certainly fit enough to go and watch a match of football, all right? I'm just going to do that. I just don't understand why he don't go to the West Ham one. But I'm not, it's not like, I don't want to say I'm outraged with him. I'm not. I was sort of mildly disappointed and thought, okay, well, that shows he's on the way out. And what an opportunity lost. What an opportunity squandered. Not for West Ham, I think. And it just shows how bad we are at buying strikers. I mean, it's awful. We are awful at it. Even, it's not just David Moyes' fault. It's been happening for some time now. And you've got to think about it. The two most successful strikers in recent times have actually been converted wingers, have been Arnautovic and have been Michail Antonio. No, it doesn't really matter whether it's Scamacca, whether it's Haller, whether it's Chicharito. These are good players. These are good strikers. They just don't seem to be able to work at West Ham. I think it is a huge shame. A huge shame. We paid a premium for him, 35 million. I don't think we're seeing £35 million back. In fact, there's a part of me, surely this won't happen, but there's a part of me that even wonders if, it might be one of those ones where he goes out on loan for a season with the obligation to buy and all that stuff. Doesn't always work, does it? You've only got to look at Vlasic. Vlasic went to Italy himself this year. And he started off really well. To such an extent, he started off so well that it looked like the deal might be wrapped up before the winter transfer window. Turns out it looks like he's coming back to West Ham because he's basically his form tailed off. And, well, if that can happen to him, it can certainly happen to Scamacca. So it doesn't necessarily... There's a difference between an obligation to buy and an option to buy. Maybe if someone takes Scamacca with an obligation to buy, I'm not sure that's so great because, you know what? If they do well, then you're not going to be able to get much of your money back, are you? So I think it's a massive shame for him, and I think it's a massive shame for us that we weren't able to make it work. He played at PSV before, so he's clearly a guy. It's not like he's homesick and only play in Italy. He's clearly a guy that can travel. I think it says probably a lot more about West Ham and the current guys of West Ham. And it's not just under Moyes, under the ownership, under just everything that there is about the club, that we don't really have a set structure in place whereby we bring the right players in. You just think, who has identified him and whoever's brought him in and rubber stamped it has not been paying attention. I mean, it's like De Zerbi. De Zerbi goes in and is a manager at Brighton. What happens is they knew who their manager, what they wanted their manager to be. Once they got rid of Graham Potter, they brought De Zerbi in, but all the component parts were the same because they knew they were going to bring a manager in who was going to fit the players that they'd purchased and the playing style that they played. Ours is so scattergun, we don't have an identity. So we've got to buy a player like Scamacca. Big, plays well with his back to goal, thunderbolt of a shot, not really good out wide, quite instinctive inside the box, not fast. We bring him in. Okay, well, that's a different type of striker to Antonio. Then someone goes out and identifies Danny Ings. Oh, that's the guy we need. Well, he's a sort of a fox-in-the-box finisher type. He's not fast. He's not particularly... he can't play with his back to goal. Totally different to Scamacca. I mean, you might think, obviously, we can't at the moment. They're injured. Play them up front. Partner them together. Play them up front. That might work. Just been a complete waste of time. I find it very, very difficult to find... find any set of circumstances where Scamacca is at West Ham next season. I can tell you one. I'll give you one. West Ham sign Mancini as their manager. I don't think we will, and I don't think we should, by the way. But if West Ham got Mancini, then I could see it happening. Aside from that, I just think he's another in a long list of strikers that comes to West Ham, leaves a failure, and make no mistake about it, much like Sebastian Haller, who, funny enough, I saw score. I thought Andy Amy crossed for Sebastian Haller to score last week. I think I got that right. But much like Sebastian Haller, who's much better, by the way, and I'm pleased about that. But he went to Ajax, started scoring. I wouldn't be surprised if Scamacca goes back to Italy, starts scoring, and then once again it'll be another indication that actually it's not the striker. The striker was good. It's actually the club that was at fault.